To wrap up the compensation discussion, let's talk about how both parties can protect themselves against a poor match.
I guess a cliff is pretty typical. I always ask for monthly best. Here's my side of it. Imagine I'm equity only, and you have a 3-month cliff, and then you fire me 2 months and 3 weeks into it. I just spent 3 months with you, which, by the way, are much more intensive for me because I have to onboard and learn everything, and you paid me nothing. I appreciate that we might not have been a good match, but I still want to be compensated for the time spent. However, I also never sign an advisory agreement after a 25-minute conversation. I have at least 1 or 2, maybe even 3 sessions for free with a potential client. Recently, I've started scaling it even better with workshops. I have an hour-and-a-half workshop on the subject that I will be advising them on so I can offload all of my frameworks to you right away. I show what I would be preaching so that you can decide if you want me to preach. I don't try to convert you, I only preach to the converted, and that workshop is completely free. If we're exploring an advisory relationship, this approach reduces the risk of you needing to fire me because it puts us in the working situation up front and gets some of those question marks out of the way. I have never been fired, but I have fired many clients because I felt they were not getting enough value. We're not calibrated in the perceived value to the price, so sometimes there is a disconnect. In those cases, I would ask the client to pause and come back in 6 months to either catch up or decide to discontinue. But those are failure points for me, and I'm constantly learning how to optimize against them.
How long does it typically take you to realize that a relationship is not working out?
It usually takes about 3 months. However, that doesn't mean that the relationship wasn't working the entire time. In the beginning, things might be very hot and heavy, but then a backlog starts to build up and there aren't enough resources to catch up to it. So I might realize that there's already a backlog buildup for the next 6 months. At that point, I think it's best to stop because there's very little benefit to us continuing while the company is resource constrained.
Okay, cool. To protect a company's interest, founders often want to give out equity, especially early stage companies, because they want an advisor with significant skin in the game. However, they are also mostly sensitive about equity. To protect against a poor match, one way is to have a compensation package that includes a certain combination of equity and cash with a cliff of 3 months. After 3 months, if the relationship doesn't work out, the entire equity is converted into 100% cash.
Sure, that sounds great. If there's a cliff, I would 100% agree to it. Alternatively, a monthly vesting schedule could be used. Either scenario is fine for me. Monthly vesting may be more preferable for the advisor, while having a 3-month cliff and an option to convert to cash may be more preferable for the company. I haven't had any contracts with these terms before, but I'm open to trying it out. Interestingly, I haven't had any pushback on the monthly vesting schedule. I don't care about owning tiny portions of companies. I'd rather see it through. With equity, I want to ensure that I have some control over it, at least in some capacity, that I've contributed to it. In 3 months, I don't believe I can contribute much to the equity. If you want to buy me out, you can buy me out. There's very little impact I can have in 3 months.
Sounds like this is an ideal format.
Yes, I'll try it out.